The Tories, the Conservative Party in Great Britain, they have what are called by-elections. By-elections are so you have the national parliamentary elections get called at least every 5 years. The prime minister can call them sooner than that, although now they fairly well codified the 5 year thing, and but is able to occasionally adjourn parliament, get the Queen to consent to adjourn parliament and call an election, and it happens. And the Tories, of course, with Boris Johnson, swept. Huge victory. And we've had Brexit. We've had the Brexit deal. Supposedly everyone is unhappy. It's a terrible deal. And now they've had the by-elections, which are essentially the elections for cities and town councils across Great Britain, and some Scottish parliamentary elections and Welsh parliamentary elections. And the Conservatives have done quite well. And the media you would have not known the Conservatives were going to do well in Great Britain because of the media. When David Cameron and Theresa May were prime minister in Great Britain, they were heralded for their cosmopolitan values, their support of the European Union, and their global stature, and their moderation. The American and international press may not have liked them because they were conservatives, but they were cosmopolitan, they were globalists, they were elite, they believed in all the right things that a conservative can believe in and get favorable press. Theresa May, of course, very famously called an election and expected to boost her numbers in Parliament so that she could secure her Brexit deal, and conservative support collapsed. They were barely able to get anything through, broken and battered. She had to step aside. Boris Johnson came in, and everyone in the press ridiculed Boris Johnson. Johnson has had landslide after landslide victory, and even now in Britain, the media routinely ridicules him, and yet he is able to do very, very well. In English councils in the by-election, the Tories have picked up 59 seats. The Labour Party, the chief Labour Party on the other side, is down 69 seats. It's not a good setup. They're still counting votes. They do paper ballots in Britain. Now, I talk about Britain because we need to go back to the media conventional wisdom here, and to Caitlyn Jenner, and to misunderstandings. I didn't intend to tie thematically this entire hour together, but you've got the people in this country who use the phrase Latinx. They're now using the phrase birthing people, and the media not only thinks it's no big deal, but largely embraces it. And in the media embracing it, and in the left using it, they think that it's no big deal. Everybody they know agrees with the terminology. How could you not, you bigot? They prop up nationally candidates like Keisha Lance Bottom, or they look on and ridicule the recall in California. Who on earth would possibly go along with this? Gavin Newsom is awesome. And they keep missing it. They keep missing it because the media, by and large, is in a bubble. They're out to lunch. They are of the elite. And the elite, time and time again, are starting to be proven wrong. I mean, let's roll the tape, shall we? If you move the embassy to Jerusalem, you're going to start a war. Did it happen? If you recognize Israeli sovereignty and you get out of the Iran deal, you're going to spark a Middle Eastern war. Did it happen? You're never going to be able to get these individual Islamic countries to have peace deals with Israel. Really? If you get out of the Paris Climate Accord, it's going to make things so much worse. Really? time and again. And let's remember they ridiculed Mitt Romney back in 2012 for saying Russia was a geopolitical threat. 4 years before suddenly they wanted us to believe the Russians stole the election. Really? Donald Trump will never win. Conservatives are over. Conservatives are a dying group. The Republican Party will never win major elections in this country again. All of these things we hear all the time from an elite media that it's a circle of jerks. They sit around with left-wing fantasies and they get it wrong all the time. And it's not just here. It is a global issue. They have underestimated Boris Johnson in the UK constantly. They have laughed at him. They have lampooned him. They have ridiculed him. They have said he couldn't get a Brexit deal done. Everyone was unhappy with the Brexit deal. The latest deal was going to tear everything up. Labour was going to come sweeping back in Great Britain, and they've got it wrong. In this country, they say the days of the Republican Party are over. They've been saying the days of the Republican Party were over since Richard Nixon's election because demography is destiny. Things are changing, and the Republican Party is going to die. They, myself included, I didn't see Trump winning in 2016. The media overall completely didn't see it. And then, unlike me and them, when Trump won in 2016, I actually wrote at the time that it required all of us to understand what we got wrong and exercise some humility and what did we miss, because clearly we missed something. Other than I realized Hillary Clinton was deeply unpopular, I couldn't fathom people would vote for Donald Trump in 2016. I didn't support him in 2016 and ultimately decided I needed to reassess what was I missing? What was I out to lunch on? And what I was missing and what I was out to lunch on is I was too busy reading the front pages of the newspapers, which were in fact not giving me the full story of what was going on. And it forced me to do better and do more research and read more sources and dive deeper to understand there is a real discontent in this country and a deep distrust of experts, expertise, and the elite who frequently get things wrong. And unfortunately, we live in a country, and this is where I think a lot of it comes from, is there are a lot of real experts, and we need real experts on a lot of things. You don't want Joe Blow building a nuclear reactor. You want an actual expert who knows how to build a nuclear reactor. The problem is the nuclear reactor expert goes on CNN and starts mouthing off about politics as if they're an expert on politics. And they devalue and decredit themselves. There's no recognition of humility. And that, I think, is the underlying issue in all of this. There really is no humility in the media anymore. They continue to get stories wrong, like the Rudy Giuliani story last week or earlier this week. There's no underlying humility. They believe the world is so, and all evidence to the contrary must be ignored as some sort of partisan right-wing spin. They dismissed the recall of Gavin Newsom, though while being right about this Caitlyn Jenner interview was bizarre, they miss the nuances of the recall, the pain of small businesses, the frustration of people in California. They don't understand the anxiety of parents in Northern Virginia whose kids can't go back to school because local school boards, despite all the evidence, are refusing to let them go back to school. They miss the outrage of the employers and the employees who've taken the time to go back to work, that the slackers are still out there collecting unemployment and not going back to work, making everybody else's job harder. And the media covers for the Democrats say, well, this isn't really contributing. People need this money. These people are out to lunch. They have no idea. These are the people who use Latinx. These are the people who listen to Democrats using the phrase birthing people instead of mothers in the run-up to Mother's Day and see nothing wrong with it and wonder, why aren't the rest of you people wise enough and open-minded enough and tolerant enough to use birthing person? Because a man may get pregnant and have a period. The rest of us are looking at it and thinking, what the hell is going on? What's going on is a progressive elite who set cultural opinion in a country where most of the people aren't down with it, but the cultural elite in this country make up not just an elite, wealthy class of people, but also the reporter class that increasingly doesn't understand the rest of us. And so they live in a bubble. And in that bubble, they believe the world works in a way the world doesn't actually work. And they think the rest of us live in a bubble and believe the world doesn't work in the way it actually works. But the way the world actually works, we realize it, we recognize it, we talk about it, and the way the world works, it actually works the way we say it does. And the media looks at that and said, no, no, impossible. It's an anomaly. It's an anomaly, Donald Trump won. It's an anomaly. It's an anomaly that the Republicans weren't devastated in 2020. It's an anomaly. Just wait another 2 years. The Republican days are doomed, because that's what my politically elite bubble friends tell me. And that actually gives conservatives, whether they're in Great Britain or France or here or wherever, gives them some bit of an advantage. Because the left is so convinced in their bubble the world works in a way it doesn't actually work, they never see us coming, and we keep actually winning. And so I would tell you, don't lose heart, don't lose faith, don't get discouraged, don't get angry. Be happy warriors and laugh at this nonsense. Laugh at the birthing people. Ben Shapiro, let me read you a tweet from Ben Shapiro, because he makes a really good point. And it's a point I think a lot of people, not only do they miss it, but they scoffed at Shapiro for making the point yesterday. And it highlights perfectly the grand divide in the country right now. This is Shapiro, according to the left, birthing persons gestate meaningless clusters of cells, which are assigned sex at birth and only later decide their gender. But somehow you're the culture war aggressor if you deny any element of this utterly insane BS. My favorite game is the "why are you even paying attention to this" routine, where you notice the radical redefinition of basic human biology. We're noticing because, as stated, you're insisting that society speak lies about fundamental truth. Yes. That's it exactly. And so we keep pulling the wool over their eyes, or they keep pulling the wool over their own eyes, and we keep surprising them and dazzling them and winning, and it makes them angry that we're winning, and so they have to scream, well, they're a minority party. Well, we're winning under the rules set, which is why they have to destabilize the whole system. That's why they have to devalue it, discredit it, say it's immoral, say it's the founding fathers were all a bunch of slaveholders advancing slavery so they can discredit the whole thing and try to undermine it. But they can't help themselves in pushing the boundaries beyond into areas no one wants to go. And voters are voting because their culture's under attack. They think neither party can fix or harm the economy so much, but they see one party destroying not just their community, but their culture. And they're standing up, black, white, Hispanic, standing up, and they're voting Republican now. And the Democrats can't understand what's going on.